What is up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Spiritualpreneur podcast, and today I'm super honored and excited to have Joy Houston on the show. She's the CEO of Heal at Scale. She empowers wellness professionals to offer more than just one-on-one care by adding life group programs and self-study courses with coordinated testing and supplement sales. With over a decade of experience in scaling major health brands, including Dr. Amy Myers, Chris Kresser, Dr. Sarah Gottfried, Dr. Daniel Amen, and JJ Virgin, Joy simplifies digital marketing by providing programs that lead to financial success in ways that ensure balance and personal fulfillment. Join the movement to end practitioner burnout and illness isolation by connecting with Heal at Scale today. Welcome to the show, Joy.
Thanks for having me, Christian.
I know, it's such an honor. I always get very excited when people live their dharma, their destiny, so to say, and it really sounds like you've really found yours. Like, how did you find that niche? Why healing space? Why making that such a movement? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so my husband and I owned a marketing agency, an online marketing agency specifically. And we just got to the point where we kept, seeing ourselves build these brands bigger and bigger, and we would see our clients hitting these, $1 million target rates. And finally we realized, okay, how can we get laser focused about where we really most enjoy serving our clients? And as we sort of looked back, it was all the people who were in the health or wellness or like in some way they were elevating humanity's like life experience, either their health or their relationships. And so we decided to focus our attention there. And as soon as we focused, then the agency started being infinitely more successful and even more successful for our clients, which was wonderful. And then I hit a challenge with my own health. And I found a wonderful practitioner here in La Jolla, which I live in Pacific Beach, and San Diego. La Jolla is just the next beach north. And she literally transformed my health. It was night and day. And on my 3 month checkup with her, 3 months, 4 months, she looked terrible. And I asked her, like, girl, like you've totally changed my life. Do you mind? You don't look like you're on point today. Is everything okay? Are you all right? And as sometimes us, sensitive types will do when someone caring asks you a question, all the tears just, the well broke. And she shared that she was making less than she was paying her staff, that she just didn't know what she was doing around marketing, around any kind of business strategy that would let her leverage her time instead of just trading time for money. And she was losing it. She was convinced that, like, hey, the only thing people really want to buy is caffeine and sugar. I might as well throw in the towel and open a coffee cart. And of course, I was like, over my dead body, are you opening a coffee cart? You should have a line of women around the block that you help with their hormones and their gut, everything you're helping me with. And that was when I went back to my husband at the agency and I said, I would like us to start a division that brings what we do for these huge names in the health space and actually modularize the marketing and the business strategies, just like little Lego sets. So it's actually like doable for a practitioner with a simple integrator that can help them with the tech, no large team, because Christian, the team, like the people that we work for that can, make millions in the online space, they have a CMO and a CTO and a CFO. They have the whole C suite and social media teams. And so what I told him I wanted to bring to life was, how do we take what we're doing for them and crystallize it down to its simplest, most replicatable forms that have been, tested with ad spend. We know these funnels work. How do we give that to these hometown health heroes that are committed to helping everyone in communities and towns all around the world? But that commitment has had them seek out medical knowledge, health knowledge. It hasn't ever had them seek out marketing knowledge and social media skills and all the things that they need to make a difference. And so he was like, babe, if this lights you up, like, you got to do it, So we brought that to market. And the very first client that I took the simplified process to made over $500,000 on launching their very first program. And I took that as a sign that, Spirit wanted to move through and make sure that everything I had taken a decade to get really good at doing for our high end clients was equally accessible to any passionate, well meaning practitioner who was willing to take on a little bit of a little bit of tech, a little bit of having to put themselves out there. And if they were willing to take that on, then they could implement the systems and they could have the same level of success that we were getting for our large end clients with a much smaller team and a lot more sort of nimble functioning in the online space. And then that was 3 years ago in September. So that division of what I've done, that Heliscale, has been just like truly a joy. And when I think about like a spiritual entrepreneur, it's like literally like my name is Joy. And what a difficult thing to live up to, a word that is so beautiful. And like so many people seek that in their life. And as I started to get these little wins where practitioners who were thinking of going out of business made a 20K win, a 30K win, a 100K win, it was like, this truly is bringing me joy. And when I got that sense, I even have looked back over my journals recently. I was like, okay, you know that you're on track when it really starts to feel like spirit is flowing through you and out as the form of service that you get to do for your job, you know?
Hmm.
So that's how it came to be.
That's beautiful. I think it's so beautiful, so honorable, and so yeah, so full of joy. I think I love how much like with how much passion and I can feel how much joy gives you helping others succeed. And I think one of the things that we're very excited about is when we have someone on the show who has equal business experience and equal kind of like spiritual guidance or self personal development or like just living that in their lives, and you sound like really that, you've embodied that throughout your life. And I love, just again, like the same that we do with our agency at Love Pix Agency. It's like we're empowering like the little people who have a passion, who, work from their heart. Like we're not doing this for the money. Like we know this helps people and this is like great. And we still want to produce great results for whoever we serve. Um, and at the same time, again, we want to all grow and scale. And I think you guys do that so graciously with the people that come your way, with all these practitioners and health gurus and experts. So, yeah, I'd love to like dive more into where, like, let's say somebody in the audience is in the health in the practitioner space. Like, what is some of that toolbox that you would say, start here? Like,
Start here. Yeah, so we have an offer called Abundance Accelerator, and I would say that the things that I put into that toolkit, we intentionally priced that like very very low, so like anybody who was passionate about it could get into it. And I'm happy to tell you exactly what that entails, like what it is, because you don't need to buy that program for me. Like nobody watching this needs to buy that program from me in order to actually put those things into play. But what Abundance Accelerator does for like any person, if you're a practitioner of your craft, whether you're a health practitioner, wellness practitioner, a therapist, you help people with their finances, find romance, doesn't matter to me. If you truly consider yourself a practitioner of your craft and you want to move that into the online space, I mean, Christian, you know at Love Pixel what that takes, right? It's like in the physical world, that would mean we have to set up shop somewhere, right? We have to, maybe we rent a storefront, or maybe you even work out of your home if it's a small business, but you have to set up a physical space from which you will operate and create your goods or services or provide the services to your clients, right? So in the online space, when you want to now take your services and get them to anybody around the world who can digitally access you, and it's magical that we could do that, right? Like the interwebs, like what a miracle, right? So when you make that shift from, okay, I'm going to interact in my personal reality or my community, and you decide to take your craft into the online space, that opens up an infinity of potential clients, potential incomes, and it also comes with some let's say tech challenges for people who are intimidated by that. Okay. I always consider it like as soon as you have committed to being a spiritual entrepreneur, you have to take on that at every new level. There will be a new devil there to like taunt you and and test your
I love
spiritual
that.
strength
Every
and
new level,
like,
every level, yeah.
yes, like
True.
kind of tussle with you a little bit. Like, oh yeah, you want to bring it one step higher? Well, I'm going to just wrestle with you and make sure that you really have the tenacity and determination to do this. And like, it's just like the yin and yang and the balance of things, right? So when you first decide as a practitioner to go from your physical community space to the online world of being able to impact infinitely more lives and make infinitely more money, there is some core infrastructure that has to exist in the online space, right? And if we wanted to break it down in its two simple components, okay, I always liken it to roller skating, right? So it's like you have to be creating and delivering on the offers that you have for people, right? Always creating and delivering on your offers. And then you also have to be cultivating a relationship with people who would be interested in buying those offers. And like that's your roller skates, right? Creating and delivering on your offers and always cultivating a relationship with people who would be interested in buying or using those offers, right? And just like roller skating, if you do one and you don't do the other, what happens when your roller skates are like way far apart? You tear your
Mhm.
hamstring, right? So when we move into the online space, we at the very minimum have to build an eco structure that creates a relationship with people. I call that a web of influence, right? So maybe you're going to pick YouTube. Maybe you love Instagram. Maybe you're a TikToker. Maybe you're an old school LinkedIn. It doesn't really matter to me, but you have to have your online, where are you going to put content? Where are you going to fish in the online sea? And then you also have to have those offers ready. So, if we boil it down to those simplest terms, when you're just getting started, you have to create your web of influence. Okay. You absolutely have to create your web of influence. So that means you have to pick a place. Hopefully, it's where your people are most likely to be hanging out online, right? So, you're going to pick a place to start your web of influence. And then, once you put that content out in the world and you're engaging with people on any platform, then what are you going to do with that engagement? Okay. Most of us, if you wanted to do your sell by chat conversations or call to actions on social, most of us are ultimately wanting to have a longer term relationship with those people than social media might allow us, right? You never know when you're going to say something that pisses off the algorithm or rubs the feathers of the platform the wrong way. And then poof, you don't have access to that audience anymore. So the majority of us who are in it for the long haul, that means we're also moving them onto generally our email list or and our text message list, right? So now we are no longer only at the mercy of the algorithms, but we can also have those people in our own pool, an email list, a text message list, where we can decide how often we put content in front of them in order to nurture that relationship and get them engaged enough to know, like, and trust us and buy our goods and services, right? So when you're just starting out, that leap from, oh, I'm going to have something in my community and maybe I'm going to put billboard ads or I'm going to do local radio, whatever you're going to do locally, right? Run local Facebook ads. It doesn't matter to me. When you make the jump to the online space, that infrastructure has to be there. And so that means you have to set up your content online. Okay. You have to have I call it a book a call funnel or a consult funnel, but in my world, I call it a BAC funnel, right? For a book a call funnel. Because once we get their interest, we want to be able to interact with them, right? And chat and see, like, is this a good fit? And can we move each other forward? And so we have to have that interaction ready. Now, where most people, most really spiritual entrepreneurs especially get this wrong, is they tend to go straight to, oh, well, I'll just let them book on my Calendly, or I'll let them book on my Charmed, or I'll let them book on some calendar app, not realizing that that doesn't actually put them on your list in your CRM. And if you don't know what a CRM is, it just stands for customer relationship management. I like systems where you can capture the name and email in your CRM, and it's also your landing pages, and it can also deliver any group programs you like. So I'm picky about those. But ultimately, when we make that first invite for them to get on a book a call session, a consult with us, an interpretation session, anything to get the conversation moving forward towards a sale, I want those people to be on your CRM before they hit your calendar. So the way that I teach them to do it is, okay, you're going to put your content out in your online space, any channel you like, and then we're going to have you build a book a call funnel that puts people in your CRM, capture name, email, phone number, and then we send them to your calendar and they book the date and they ask you the questions and you're off to the races. Right? So for me, it goes build a web of influence, have the book a call funnel ready to capture those leads, right? On a landing page that captures their name, email, phone number, and then have the automations in place to follow up with those people, because I'm sure everyone's heard this, but the fortune is in the follow up, right? So if you have a call with 10 different people who are likely to want what you have, maybe 2, 3 of those are going to be immediate buyers. And then the next in line, so if there's 3 buyers, then let's say the next 5 to 7 people need a little bit more follow up, a little bit more hand holding in order to get across the finish line, right? And then the remaining few people in that 10, they're going to be on your list and in your world for a while, and they might buy 6 months, 9 months, a year later, we don't know. But if we don't have the automated follow up in place, we're never going to have the like customer and lifetime values that we're looking for. We're never going to get the conversion rates over time that we're looking for. So an abundance accelerator, when I say that a new practitioner needs it, what I mean is they need to get really clear on how to put out their initial content. So they have a web of influence online, and then they need a landing page to bring those people to capture their name, email, phone number for some sort of interaction with them. If it's a call, that's great. If it's a video or a webinar or a guide, that's fine too. What's really working well for practitioners is when they buy upfront labs. We won't go down that rabbit hole right now, but bring them to a landing page,
Mm-hmm.
get them into an automated conversation, and then move them towards a sale. That is the abundance accelerator as you move into the online space, because that's the bare minimum of what you need. And because you're in the world, Love Pixel, Christian, of like creating people's websites and landing pages and their branding and their online presence, that all of that web of influence that I'm talking about, it has to align, right? So like you get it that like their fonts and their colors and the images of them all need to sort of elicit the emotions and the feelings that their buyer needs in order to feel comfortable. All those things need to be really congruent,
Mm-hmm.
right? From their social media through to their pages. And I'm a big believer in like, keep reinvesting in your business, right? Which is why an abundance accelerator doesn't ask you to build your website right off the bat, right? It doesn't ask you to do a project that's going to take you 2, 3 months to get done. Build a single landing page and let the profits from that simple landing page, let the profits from that let you move all that money into beautiful websites, even more fancy branding, all of those things. But the jump from being physical, local in your community to being omnipresent online, you at least have to make that abundance accelerator jump. Get your core content out, have a way to capture those leads, and then have automated follow-up so that all of those leads are loved on, whether they're there's 4 personality types, right? A competitive, a spontaneous, a humanistic, and a methodical. And all of those different types buy in different ways. So the competitive, for example, if they see your stuff and they like you, they're going to want to take action today, like today, right? And same with the spontaneous. They're going to buy in a week or 2 weeks. Then the humanistics, they need more story. They need to know what your dog's name is. If you have kids, they need to know more about you, right? They need to see tons of social proof. And then your methodicals need to know the process, the science, the way that the watch makes the time show on the face of the watch, right? So because all of these different personality types, we all fall somewhere in one of these buckets. It's not perfect, but we all fall somewhere. It's like more of a continuum if you think about it. We want to have marketing that is set up to capture all of those different things. And so those are the basic moves that I see that people need to make to move into the online space. Get your core content out in the world so people know what you stand for, what they can expect from you, what objectives you can help them achieve, and how they can get those objectives handled. They need to see that you have a structure to get them the results that they want. From that content, move them into your brand's world in a CRM, getting their name, email, phone number. If you're more of a text marketing person, doesn't matter to me. and then have the automations in place to make sure you cultivate that relationship and don't leave any one of the four personality types behind, right? Because some will buy quickly, some will buy slowly. We love them all, right? We want to make sure that you have that infrastructure built. So that's how I feel people need to make their first move as they head into the online space.
Beautiful. I love that so much, and I've always ever since I was little, in well, little, let's say, early 20s, I was like, I discovered the value of love. Like that's why I love Pixel and yada yada yada. So it's a very important value not only in my personal life but also in my business life. And we treat obviously everyone that comes our way that way. And especially I feel same with your people and your customers, like in the health space. You're not in this game to like you know pull people over the table, right? We
Oh,
want to
no.
serve, we want to be honest, we want to love. Like that's why I think it's so beautiful that you bring this structural masculine component of like, let's do that with a system. I think heal at scale is such a powerful name because it's not very easy to do. You know what I mean? It's easy to heal and it's easy to scale, but
Yes.
heal at scale, like
Very,
that,
yeah.
like yin yang, that combination of like, we want to scale with authenticity. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to make sure you have a system because there's so many people in the space that are healers, that are yoga teachers, that are channels and mediums, and so much out there, in that space, but they don't have any systems. Yeah, they
Yeah.
maybe have a
Yeah.
website, they maybe have a contact form, but that, just like you said, the roller skate, like that nurturing of that relationship is missing,
Yeah.
and again, I think it's such a wonderful, your approach is so wonderful because it has both of these sides equally emphasized, so
Yeah.
kudos to you.
That comes from is that when I was first getting into marketing, some of the things that I was studying in the online marketing space just didn't resonate with me. It felt a little too like, okay, well, yeah, maybe that works if you're selling like financial products or get rich quick things, or like a lot of the people like that were in the space, I won't name names, but I just felt like it didn't resonate with me at this heart level. And so I thought, okay, girl, like what can you do? Can you go back to some of the old school marketing components that you love? I'm talking way back, like the Ogilvy names, like really, really older concepts of marketing. And can you hybrid that with a passion of mine? And my like if you see me like reading by the pool or something, you're gonna see me reading books on love, communication, relationships, human connection, like psychology. And so I thought, is there a way to take what we need to do in the marketing sphere and treat it truly like a human relationship, right? So it's like relationships evolve in steps that make sense for our animal bodies and for our psychology in our mind, right? So just like a romantic relationship is a good example, like, so just like when you meet someone, we don't walk up to another person and be like, Christian, you're so cool. Let's get married. Like that would be super freaky, right? Like we don't do that. And I felt like marketing was kind of trying to do that. Like, hi, you just find me, buy my stuff. It was
Yeah,
really like, it
totally.
didn't feel right. So it was very like, hey, let's meet them where they are. Right. So I always ask my practitioners, if you get stressed about your marketing, just boil it down to three simple things. Look at those people's symptoms, whatever the symptom is, right? Resonate with their symptoms, have empathy for their symptoms, have compassion for their symptoms. Talk to them about their symptoms in their kitchen table language, not jargon that we use from our industry, but just talk to them about how miserable those things must feel and the downstream consequences of those things. Because if we address the problems that our clients have, but we forget to address the downstream consequences of those things. So, for example, a lot of the people in the hormone space are addressing like weight gain in women, for example, right? Mid-center weight gain. They're living on lettuce leaves. They're working out and it's not working. So if they just go out in the space and talk about the weight gain, it's not going to land. But if they go in there and they talk about the weight gain and the frustration because they're eating right and working out, and the fact that hubby wants to be with them and they're not being intimate because they don't like the way they feel in their own body, and then that has another domino effect on the relationship. If we go out and we talk about the symptoms plus the downstream consequences and the feelings and emotions and the shame that come up around those things, if we meet them where they are about their symptoms, and then we show them our science behind how we've found solutions for those problems. What's our particular brand's science for solving that problem, right? And every brand has their little secret sauce for solving the problem. Meet them at their symptoms, show them your secret science behind how to solve it. And then when you move into the sales phase, you're selling with soul. Like the sale happens as a result of being of service. And so now they're sort of moving from the free part of your services that are out there in the form of your content, and then having compassion for them and showing them that, they're not alone. There's so many people going through this. You go from meeting them at their symptoms to waking them up to there is a science to solving the problem. Cool. Your brand turns the lights on that there's a process for that. And then as you move into the sales conversation, even, which I'm sure you know this, Christian, but for my healers, all the true healers in the world, the sales part can be where they fumble. And so at Heal at Scale, we spend a lot of time with our people having a conversation called Selling with Soul, where we recognize sales is just one more conversation in the service that we've been delivering to people in our marketing. And it's the point at which they make the transformation from consuming content for free and actually empowering themselves to take action. Because if our marketing is service and then we have a sales conversation and they're actually shifting into true sales, right? So now they're dropping into a level of service where they're actually under our care. That the sale is where the transformation starts happening, because the person has shifted from only a consumer of our content to a consumer of our implementation of our service. And as soon as they shift phases in the way they're consuming from us, the transformation has already begun, because it was passive when they were absorbing our marketing. It was very passive when they absorbed our service in the form of our marketing. As soon as they commit to themselves to implement that knowledge, that's the point of sale. And now the service continues on as we support them in implementation. And when healers start to see that point of sale as a continuation of the service that the client has now invested themselves in, then the sleaziness of sales, the pushiness of sales, it sort of all melts away when they can see it as that, okay, this is a service continuum. And when the client buys in, now they are fully on board and invested in their own transformation. It's no longer passive. They've made the decision to move it forward.
Yeah,
So it goes
exactly.
like symptoms, and then the science your brand has to solve it, and then move into sales as a continuation of service. And if they look at marketing in that simple lens, it's almost like you can see their animal body calm down, of like that resistance between I'm here to heal and I want to serve people, but I also have to put on my power suit and go sell shit. Like, no, like they tend to struggle with that crossover. And as soon as they can kind of see it as this seamless, elegant trinity of service, I see their bodies calm down when I review their sales
Mm.
sessions.
That is so powerful. And I think that's where all of us, well, not all of us, most of us spiritual people, or coming from a heart space where they struggle, because for them it's not about the sale.
Yes.
There's like
Yes.
maybe they think, oh, now I need to jump to the sale, or I need to like ask, or like, it's like
Yeah.
that moment of like always like, because for us it's like, if we're able to keep it that smooth and natural, that's because that's how we're used to it anyways.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't, because we're such spiritual beings and emotional beings, like we don't want to get out of that alignment. you
Yeah.
know like, and
Yeah.
oftentimes you just see where just people are like, they don't even ask for a sale or ask for anything. It's like, if you don't ask me, then you're probably not ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me as a provider, as a health practitioner, I would just like, that feeling of being in alignment, feeling smooth, easy,
Yeah.
like that is so important. And I think understanding a little bit more the process of what is involved, especially in the online space, because it's so natural for us human beings to like do it in person. Like we feel very quickly when something is awkward or off, or
Yeah.
now is not the right time. It's like
Yeah.
it's his kid's birthday or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or he just came home, he just got out of the car. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's reflecting that offline journey onto an online and getting aware of like there's stages to a relationship, there's stages to building this relationship that you have, and the sale will naturally occur from exactly what you said, from the continuum of that being of service.
Exactly, exactly. And because the healers sometimes need to ground into something, I teach them to do their sales sessions on Zoom and actually use a diagram that has that trinity of like, hey,
Mhm.
I want to acknowledge your symptoms. And then I have a science, a safe structure that I've used to get other people across this. And then the sales becomes, and here's what it looks like to do that with me. So on the call, they're like confirming and understanding of the symptoms, of the problems, of the pains. That has that has the prospect feel seen and heard and like, oh wow, this person is like on my side. We are now a team because that person sees me, has heard me, and understands me. And then move into, okay, great, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, now that we're on the same page and you know that I understand where you're coming from, I'm going to share some of my insights as a healer in this realm, health realm, financial realm, romance realm, that has helped me get my clients these kind of results. And based on my experience, this looks like what you need, right? And then if they confirm, yeah, that is what I need, then they can say, okay, and here's what it looks like for you to do that with me. Like that here, once you establish, hey, like even on this call, Christian, like, okay, anyone who's watched this that knows what has been established. If they want to go from in person to online, they know they need to create a web of content so they can be seen as an expert. They know they need to be able to capture those leads in their CRM and automate follow up, right? And they know they need to have a really elegant sales process that doesn't feel sleazy, but has them know that they're selling with soul as a form of service. Okay. So that's an example. They know how to do that. When I would move into the conversation of, and here's what it looks like to do that with me, right? Like, do you not want to figure out which CRM is best? Do you want all the Canva templates for growing your online, presence, whether it's YouTube or Instagram? Like, do you want the funnels already built for you and you just color code them? Like, I have all those built. So you now know exactly what to do. And if you want to stand on my shoulders and do that faster and easier with my coaching, then here's what that looks like. So the sales process never ends up being like pushy because it's like they were honored on the call. Here's where you're at. I see you. I have compassion for you. I understand. Here's my science, my system for solving that. Here's what it looks like. Based on my symptom, it looks like you most need A, B, and C, right? And because we're on this call together, I'm going to tell you what it looks like to work with me, to do those things with me. And if that's not for you, then you know what things you need to go and accomplish with or without me. And if you ever go out there in the wild, wild online world and you decide you don't want to do it alone, you can always come back to me. Like, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? So you get on, when they get on a Zoom call and they have something that they're drawing on, like one of my mentors, Simon Bowen, who's amazing. If anybody wants to check him out, he's over at the modelsmethod.com. He helps multi-billion dollar brands create visual models for their sales teams, right? So that selling is elegant and simple. And one of the things that he told me that I will never forget is when you draw people in. And so if healers are a little uncomfortable with sales, it makes sense to have them visually working with a handout, on an iPad. They're drawing on that. They're sharing it with the prospect. They're moving from recognizing the symptoms, showing the science of how they serve people, and then inviting them to get that service, inviting them to make the sale. It's so much more elegant, and it's so much more, this is what you need to do. And if you wanted to do it with me, great. And if you want to embark out in the world and do that on your own, I'm always here if you need me. And they leave the call and their conversion rates go from 10 or 20% to 70 or 80%. And I think that, to credit the healers who put this into place, that is as much their energy shift during those calls as it is the tools that I give them to help them make that shift. You know what I mean? As soon as they have a safe structure where they can let their soulfulness, their service shine through, their own nervousness about sales, it
Yeah.
just melts. It just melts.
So I think a really cool thing today, like on this call, would be if you actually could like share your screen, because,
Yeah.
and like just draw, maybe here's the process for this call,
Yeah.
so it
I'll
seems like
show
a
you.
natural, and we can see it live, like because people are
Yes.
gonna
Let's
be
do it. Let's
watching
do it.
this.
Yes.
That'd be
Let's
really
do it.
fun.
I'll use my model so I don't show off any of my clients' models. Okay. Does
Sure.
that sound good? Okay. Great.
On the
Good,
screen.
good, 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 good. Okay. So now this wouldn't be for like a healer. This is mine. So I would be speaking to healers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I would let these people on the call know. I would say, hey, listen. Okay. So Christian, we're going to pretend that you are a chakra transforming expert. Okay. You can go in
Okay.
and you can clear everyone's chakras and you can make them all shine out a bright color. Okay. So
All
we're
right.
going to call you the chakra miracle worker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I have found is that if I can help my practitioners amplify their impact by providing really good content online such that they gain a following and they grow their email list, if I can help them amplify their impact and then turn that attention into predictable profits, meaning consistent income, no more roller coaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can put systems in place that give them more freedom, which increases their autonomy, right? They can do what they want to do from a beach in Bali just as easily as they can in their hometown. I have found if I can do these three things for my clients, that empowers them to be able to heal at scale.
Mm.
Christian, would you like to be able to do that?
Absolutely. I'd love to. I love that. What a
Okay,
great.
great. But my guess is that you've probably tried this before. This is probably not your first rodeo, right?
Yeah, I've done the social stuff. I don't know. It
Yeah.
really didn't quite take off the way I.
Exactly, exactly. So, if we want those results, that means there's three areas of work that we would have to do together. I call them aware, and that's where we take your audience from confusion about who you are and what you do to absolute clarity that you are the best choice for them to get those chakras firing on all cylinders. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the first body of work that we have to do. But here's the thing, Christian, if we did that, we would be one of those brands that has a million followers, but we don't have millions of revenue coming in. That would not be so good, would it?
Mm, yeah.
No. So, what we have to do with that attention that we create, that
A lot
awareness,
of my friends are there. They have
yeah,
followers, but they don't
exactly.
really know how to. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So they have lots and lots of followers, but they're not making any money. That means what they have failed to do is translate that initial connection to a commitment to themselves to make the difference that you can help them make. Okay. So we have to start with awareness. But if we don't move to conversion and convert that attention into paying clients, we're never going to have the monetary flow from our offers. And that's what I want for you. Okay. I want you to be giving of service here free to your people to grow an audience. But ultimately, I want you to convert that attention into paying clients. You following me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And then once you do that, I want you to be able to measure what's working and what isn't so that we can get those funnels firing automatically. Okay. So that you can make money from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. Okay. I want you to, you're going to have to get yourself out there initially. But once we know what works with your audience, I want you to do a lot of systems that will let you put more, put less of your time in, but get more profits out. And that means we absolutely have to elevate by moving to automation and implementation. Okay. So those are the three areas that we would have to do together in order to get the result where you could heal at scale. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And now here's the fun thing where the sales completely disappear. Okay. I could say to you, okay, let's play a game. Okay. I want to play a game where you're going to say, like green, if this is perfect in your business. Okay. Meaning you totally know how to do that. Yellow, if you're like, so I'll have to draw it over here because you can't see it. So we're going to say, I want you to just tell me green If this
Mhm.
is already firing on all cylinders and you're just killing it in your business doing this perfectly. It's yellow if you're like, Joy, I've tried that, but it's not really working for me. I haven't exactly figured that out. And then we're going to pretend this is red because I don't have red on here. Okay. And then we're going to say that it's red. If you're like, nope, I do not have that figured out. And what I can do is I can ask my prospects a series of questions that let them self-assess what's green, yellow, and red in their business, or if this was a practitioner, in their body systems, right? And then when they self-assess red, yellow, or green, so I won't make you do it right now, but like
Mhm.
it, well, we could do it. We could do it really quickly. So it's like if we say, sorry, I'm getting a call. Okay. And so I'm going to ask them about their foundational marketing. So I'm going to go through each one of these. Like
Mhm.
I ask them if they understand, hey, do you feel like you know exactly who your avatar is and you've nailed the language that connects with them and gets them to buy? Do you feel like you have your messaging on point? And
Mhm.
they're going to say red, yellow, or green. So for you, are you red, yellow, or green?
I would say on that one, I'm green.
You're green. Okay, perfect. You're also you have Love Pixel working for you, so you're already really good at that. Okay. And then I'm going to say, do you have your web of influence? Are you showing up on the right platforms to get the right kind of people engaging with you at a high level where you have followers and you have engagement? Is that working for you?
I would say it's yellow.
It's yellow. Okay. So we're doing it, but we're not getting exactly the results that we want. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, once we have that core content out in the world, we need to be able to drive traffic to it. And there's only three ways to do that: organic traffic. Okay. That's where we jump around on social media and get attention, right? We can do paid traffic. That's advertisements, or we can do partner traffic. That's affiliates. That's where people who are our peers in the industry can send traffic our way. Okay. So, of these three forms of traffic, are you red, yellow, or green at driving more attention to your web of influence right here? Okay. Because if this is yellow, then I know we have a problem here with traffic and we need to be able to send more traffic to that web. So,
Mm.
where are you with organic, paid, and partner traffic?
I would say that is red.
That is red. Okay, great. So we're going to say this is red. We don't have this figured out. Okay. And then I would say, okay, once you get people in your world and on your list, are you automatically cultivating a relationship with them? So do you have things that you could offer online that could pull them into your world to cultivate that relationship? Do you have those funnels wide open? Red, yellow, or green?
I would say red. I have something, but nothing is set up. So
Okay, we got to get it set up. We got to get that set up. Otherwise, we're going to get lots of awareness right here, right? So we're going to get lots of awareness, but we're never going to do this part, converting them to actual buyers. Does that make sense, Christian?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
great. Now, once we get them in our world, how are we going to move them up the ladder from, let's say, a free piece of content or an entry level lab and actually move them toward our higher level offers? In order to do that, if you think about it, we have to have intelligent invitation. So we need to kind of stair step them up from like our content that they see, which is free, to an intro priced offer to and then into maybe a mid-priced offer and a high-priced offer. So do
Mhm.
you have intelligent invitations to guide people through in your business? Is that set up and automated?
No, red. I
No.
think the entire convert for is currently red.
Okay. I am actually going to call you out on that one and say you are so good at what you do that once you get them in the door and you can actually sell them your services, my gut tells me that you are bright green at actually delighting them and delivering really good results. Is that true?
That is true.
That
Yes.
is true. Okay, great. So we got some little slowdowns over here, but we've got definitely once we get them in the door and they buy, you can give them great results. Okay. Now, if we look at all of this work, this is basically our marketing right here. All this piece from here to right here. Okay. So from here, that's sort of the starting of our cycle where we know our avatar, what we're selling. Okay. We
Mhm.
have to do all of that just to get our business operating as a fine tuned sales machine. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, once we've got the machine up and running, now we need to evaluate and innovate. And that means we need to take a really good hard look. So we need to get out our magnifying glass, right? And we need to take a look and say, what did we like about the way we brought these people in? And what did we not like? so that we can fix it. So this means you need to be self-auditing your business every quarter to see what's working, what you liked doing, and what you didn't like. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing that right now?
Mm, not really. So
Not really. Okay. So we're going to say that this is red because we're not
put
really
it
doing that
as a
right now.
dark orange. No, I'm just kidding. You can
It's
put it.
dark orange. I love it. Okay, great. We'll stick with our dark. We don't really have red here anyway, so. Okay. And then once we evaluate and innovate, we need to decide what are our options for adding more to each sale. And that might look like we add an in-sales upsell, right? So when they buy something, we have an additional thing we can offer them. It's like kind of buying bubblegum when you're checking out in the grocery store. Like we might add profit progression by doing things like upsells and downsells at checkout. We might do ascension offers. So once they come in and buy something, we ascend them to a next level offer. That is called profit progression. And what that does is it raises your average order value, and it can also get your customer lifetime value up higher. So profit progression is all about taking what we did from these evaluations over here and turning it into higher profit levels from every sale. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you think you're doing that right now?
I would say yellow.
You're yellow. Okay, so you must have some good upsells in place, or once you sell a client something, you're selling things on the back end. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that you are actually leveraging your leadership. And what I mean by that is I don't want you always trading time for money. Okay. You are the amazing chakra amplifier. You can fix everyone in the world's chakras. But if you're only doing that one-on-one, Christian, you're never going to have the impact that you were put on this earth to give. So do you have a leveraged way to work with people? And what that could look like is, do you have a group program? Do you lead seminars? Could you do a retreat where that same 1 hour you might spend with me could be, instead of like 1 hour and you're just helping me, one person, could we say in that same 1 hour and you could be helping a group of hundreds or even thousands of people all at once? Do you have a leveraged way to offer your excellence to the world?
Yes. I
You
would say
do.
that's green.
Perfect. So you have group programs, so you're green. So now if we take a look at this model, I can tell really quickly. Let me move it in screen here for you. Let me see if I can get this over here a little bit. Okay. So if I had that sales conversation, then I just ask the person, okay, well, we can see here from this model exactly what your business needs. Okay. First of all, we know that we have to do a little work to get your online traffic going. Like your web of influence needs more content. We know that we need to drive a lot more attention in 3 forms to that content. And then we don't have any way of automating that attention into money. Okay. But I know you're going to deliver great here, so I'm not worried about that. So if your business was my own, the very 3 next moves that I would do is I would up level my content so that I know I have content that makes me look like an expert people can know, like, and trust. And then I would start driving traffic to that content using organic, which means we would start with social. And then I would layer on partner traffic to confirm that what was working for me organically would work for other brands. And then once I knew that was converting well, then and only then would I move into paid traffic, because I would have a lot more confidence that those ads would convert really well for me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next 3 moves in your business would be exactly those. Okay. Get your social going, get your traffic going, and then we have to set this up. If we don't set up automating, like cultivating a relationship with people, if we don't set that up, then you're going to be one of the brands that has a huge following, but they're not converting that into money. So
Mm-hmm.
if there are 3 steps, the 3 steps that you would need to make right now, and honestly, I have like a sheet that I just write it out for them. I would say, okay, this means that we need to get more content that has like, and trust, because you were a yellow there. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then we need to be able to cultivate relationship. And we need to do that by having your CRM and your funnel built to pull people in. Okay. And then from there, what was our next one? We're going to come back there. So from there, we're going to add the traffic. Okay. So that's this piece here. We want to have this funnel that's going to convert the traffic. We want to have this funnel ready before we start ramping up traffic. right? So I would come back here and say, okay, they have to get their content out. They have to be ready to cultivate the relationship. And then once they do that, they have to ramp up traffic. And the way that we would do that is we would start with organic. Okay. Then we would move to partners. And then we would move to paid. And again, that's so when we're moving to paid traffic, we're not gambling with our ad spend. We actually know it worked for me organically and it worked for my partners organically. So now it's safe to throw money at paid traffic. Okay. Now,
Beautiful.
Christian, those are the 3 steps that you need to take in your business. Those are the 3 steps that you need to take in your business. Would you like to know what it looks like to do those steps with me, where you can stand on my shoulders with symptoms that have already been built? And if the client is like, yes, tell me what that looks like, which if they had this great audit of their what's going on in their life, usually they're like, heck yeah, I want to know because I'm here on this call. And if they're like, no, I'm good. That was very enlightening. I know exactly what to do. Then they head out into the world to take those 3 steps. And when they interact with other people, who do you think they give credit to for having told them which steps to take?
Mm. You.
Me. And so I either get the client or I have goodwill out in the world of those people saying, hey, I never looked at my business like this, but I talked to this chick, Joy, and she had me look at these 3 things. And then I really started focusing on those things in my business. And here I am now having my first 5, 10, 20K month, right? So I either was of such good service that I made the sale in that moment, or I was of such good service that I have goodwill out in the marketplace where sales are coming to me from that person in the future when they decide, oh man, what she told me to do was right, but I don't want to start from ground zero. She has in the box ready to rock solutions. I would rather save my time and go back to her. Or they do knock it out of the park and they have success from it and they're attributing that to me. And then I get referrals from their people who want to know the same 3 things for their own business. Can you
Beautiful.
see how it takes the high pressure
Yeah.
out?
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, they look at this like red, yellow, green assessment. And I didn't shame their business. I didn't make them feel guilty or wrong. I just drew a flashlight on it so that now they're actually focused on what needs attention and what's already working well. So they're forcing them to create the gap. So if you ever study sales, there's like, they call it like widening the gap, right? Between where people are and where people want to be. And
Mhm.
when they stretch that gap wider, there's more of a need for the sale, right? And that's where healers feel really pushy. They don't like that. They don't like to draw attention to the pains and problems and feel like they're putting people in the hot seat. But the thing is, people won't take action until they see that there's a need for action. So
Mhm.
this is a pressureless way of having them self-audit where they're red, yellow, and green. And the practitioners love it. That's why we call it selling with soul, because they're like, okay, I no longer have to shove it down their throat. People
Yeah.
see, oh yeah, no one has given me access to, a precision or functional medicine hormone test. Nobody has given me access to that. And when they're red in those areas, then they want those areas to be green and it's easier for the practitioner to make the sale.
So beautiful. Wow. What a wonderful, wonderful insight. It's so valuable. I'm so happy you demonstrated that for us on the screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're coming towards the end of the show, so I'm really grateful that you were able to be on. And yeah, I would just like to, extend my gratitude for you and say, really compliment you on everything you've, given us today. And yeah, let us know any last words for the audience, and then where can people find you if they see like, wow,
Yeah.
this is great, this is amazing. I want to work with Joy and Heal at Scale. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. First of all, I love interacting with you guys. So like if any of this lights you up and you want to have conversations about this, please come and find me over on Instagram at Real Joy Houston. Okay, there's other Joy Houstons out there, so you have to put Real Joy Houston. And Houston is just like the city in Texas. And just follow me and DM me and say hi and that you saw me on Love Pixel. And if you come and say hi and you mention Christian and the podcast, then I know that almost all of us spiritual entrepreneurs suffer with going from social to actually turning that into a sale. And so I will give all of your audience members the social to sales tracker that our community uses to make sure that what we're putting out on social media is actually equating to sales, so that we don't waste our time doing stuff that actually doesn't move the needle for us. So just to say thanks for you guys, just come on over, find me at Real Joy Houston on Instagram, and just DM me and say, hey, I saw you on Love Pixel and I want the social to sales tracker. And I hope that you will love it as much as our community. It helps you get you organized around your social, find the leaders in your space that you should be looking to emulate what they're doing, and best of all, to track of what I'm putting out on social, how much of that is actually equating to business where I get to be of higher level service to people. So I would love to just give that to your audience as a gift. And then if you're interested in working with me, if you are a practitioner, know a practitioner, come over to healatscale.com. And if you just want to chat, hit the book now button, and you can schedule a call with me and my team, and we'll see exactly what's going on in your business, and we'll help you move forward.
Beautiful. That is so cool. I love that, and especially with so much content being produced these days, like it's so helpful to actually, again, like you said, track that content and see what works. So I think
Yeah,
that's super
yeah.
valuable. Thanks so much for being here, Joy. It's been such an
Oh,
honor to have you on, and yeah, thanks for coming.
thank you. Thanks for having me. Big love to everyone.
Bye. Thank you.